You're listening to Puma Podcast.
We have to protect the animals. Kasi nga hindi sila nakakasalita. Yun yung problema kahit nga sa province, di ba?
Ang ganda po nung sinabi nyo na hindi sila nakakasalita.
Voiceless.
I'm Trisha Aquino for Teka Teka News with our special series, Alagang Handa. Every week, we are dropping episodes that look into how animal welfare is tied to our well-being and safety as humans, especially during disasters. In our last episode, for example, we visited Karkar City, famous for its lechon. After Super Typhoon Odette, lechon vendors and hog racers said while families had options to evacuate, pigs were left behind. In this episode, we go to Danao, also in Cebu, where poultry farmers too make the case that when it comes to calamities, we have to factor in the animals we are so dependent on. Alagang Handa is produced with support from Internews' Earth Journalism Network. Danao is about an hour's drive from Cebu City. We drove there from Karkar, the travel ending past a lush grove of trees, up a steep climb uphill, and finally emerging into a property facing a tiny stream, cutting through another patch of forest. We worked our way to the poultry farm of Rino Isolan. Dogs were lazing by the road as their pups were play fighting. Roosters flapped their wings furiously at our arrival, almost more noisy than some motorcycles passing through. Mang Reno stood at the side of a dilapidated bamboo shed. He was a little sweaty in his basketball jersey. An entrepreneur hard at work.
Ako po si Rino Isulan, 40 years old, nag-aalaga ng manok pang paitlog. Ang farm ko po ay nasa Guba, Cogon Cruz, Danao City. First yun pag-start ko nito, technician pa ko noon, tagapag-alaga ng mga baboy, mga anong hayop na riniris ng mga customer sa Agribit dahil doon ako nagtatrabaho sa Agribit noon. Napansin ko noon na mayroong mga customer namin na nag-alaga nitong manok. Mo'y na sundan ako kay...
Like many farmers we met in Karkar, Mang Rino used to be in the hog racing industry. But he was also a technician in a store selling livestock supplies. He shifted to poultry, chicken and eggs, when he got the impression that pork prices seemed more unstable among their clients. Also, he said, the chicken population just seemed easier and faster to grow. He's been in the poultry business for 11 years.
Ilan po yung mga alaga ninyo sa farm?
9,000 heads.
Magkano ba per head?
Ngayon, ang bigayan namin 450 pag direct sa amin.
Magkano po ang ginagastos ninyo sa pag-aalaga ng isang manok mula chick or egg hanggang ready to lay siya?
Sa total cost per head, aabot siguro ngayon, mahal-mahal ng pig, aabot na ng 280 to 300 per head. Ano lang yun, sa feeds lang yun at saka mga vitamins. Ang sa labor, kung i-total per head yun, naa sa mga 350 per head.
So, less feeds and vitamins. If Mang Rino could sell his chickens at 450, he can gain around 100 pesos per head. Times 9,000 heads, that's a little less than 1 million pesos. But that's 1 million pesos from which he also has to maintain his staff.
Ilan po yung mga tao ninyo na nag-aalaga dito sa farm?
Dalawa sila. Ang sa taas, dalawa din. Tigda-dalawa.
So, yung team niyo po, 5.
Oo. 5. Ikalima ko.
For other hog racers, it was the outbreak of African swine flu that prompted them to shift to poultry farming. Ready-to-lay chickens, which means exactly how it sounds, these are chickens that have grown old enough to lay eggs, were seen as a more stable source of income. But Mang Rino says, as with hog racing, stability assumes a number of ideal factors and scenarios. As in, assuming all goes well. Here's Mang Rino describing the ideal conditions. You'll also hear John Sichon, a reporter from Cebu who arranged interviews and translated for us during this trip.
Kanang og sa kuan sa climate kanang normal ra siya dili. Why
Yung ideal conditions ay walang ulan, walang bagyo. Kasi yung mga chicks dito, 4 to 5 months lang sila doon. Before sila i-harvest. And ang mangyayari is kapag merong intense heat o intense rain, di sila makasigurado.
Hindi makakasigurado na mabubuhay yung manok.
okay.
Walang alagang direktang namatay si Mang Rino nung tumama ang Super Typhoon Odette noong December 2021. His real problem hit after the typhoon, which was sourcing feeds for his chickens. He was echoing something hog racer Jonathan Young shared in our last episode.
Ang dako itong epekto sa mua kay ang
During Odette, many of the generators shut down sa mga milling companies. So that means ang mga feeds was not immediately processed. So there was nagka-shortage sa feeds. Another problem was during the typhoon, the generators that made sure the water would potable water would be accessible also stopped. So there was also a shortage in water. This eventually caused an increase in the feed prices during Odette, and after it's gotten back to normal levels. Whenever may disaster, na-notice nila na mayroong mga manok na magkaka-colds, may coughing, pero normal naman kasi manageable siya.
In any case, oncoming rains mean more costs for vitamins and preventive care. Parang tao lang. Also, as with people, it's during and after the rains that bigger anxieties emerge. From leaking shelters to quick to long-term fixes that make plain the need for more investments, health of residents is tied directly to the soundness of their dwelling.
kani ngani manggid ni siya secure kay
While his chickens survived, therefore, it's the structure of his farms that Mang Rino found himself fretting over after Odette passed. The typhoon damaged his poultry farm's roof. The structure has been around since 2015. It's elevated from the ground with concrete posts, bamboo flooring and frames, and a mesh surrounding the whole thing to keep the chickens from escaping. The roof is made of galvanized iron sheets. Air moves around freely and allows the caretakers to see what their wards are up to from the outside. It's the kind of structure, says Mang Rino, that would have been destroyed had Odette struck Danao as powerfully as it did Karkar. It's clear his chickens need a sturdier structure that he has not been able to afford.
ang kaning ngani gamyara ang kuan ro gid ang problema gid kuan.
Ang yung capital nila, kaya kung pwede, capital talaga yung kailangan para gumawa ng safety, secure na structure.
After visiting with hog racers and lechoneros in Karkar, and Mang Rino, the poultry farmer in Danao, we spoke with the Cebu City veterinarian to ask what the government does for farmers before, during, and after disasters strike. This is Cebu City veterinarian Jessica Maribohok.
I can see kasi na Cebu City is the city that also embracing animal welfare. Not only for the human, but also we have to protect the animals. Kasi nga hindi sila nakakasalita.
Ang ganda po nung sinabi niyo na hindi sila nakakasalita.
Voiceless.
So dapat tayo yung mag-alaga.
Doc Jessica goes through a list of regular routine duties for city and municipal vets. Twice a year, they do the rounds of barangays offering vaccination, surveying for needs. There's a litany of diseases and requirements they have to stay ahead of. Hog cholera, Newcastle's disease, vaccinations needs for chickens, hemorrhagic septicemia for cows and carabaos. They offer these for goats too. They offer free deworming, free vitamins. And when typhoons are forecast, she says, the SOPs are clear.
Constant communication, reporting, collaboration with the other offices. Yun yung wala nung time na yun. Kanya-kanya kasi kami. Kung ano yung mandato ng mga offices, yun yung ginagawa lang nila. With the city agriculture, actually, we are working hand in hand with regards to the veterinary assistance, veterinary surveillance.
Doc Jessica is referring to the Cebu City Agriculture Office.
But after that, na-strengthen namin. Constant communication, constant updates, and nag-create kami ng GC. Yung time na yun, kasi prior that wala. Ano na lang kami, oy, nandiyan na pala kayo. So, yun yung ginawa namin. With the disaster, not only for the livestock animals, but small animals. After the assessment, i-inform na lang po nila kami na, oy, meron ditong injured kasi kayo yung may alam dito. So,
she's referring to the Cebu City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. Sila ang nakikipag-ugnayan sa Cebu City Department of Veterinary Medicine and Fisheries sa mga ganitong kaso.
So, anong gagawin namin dito? So, pag live animals, of course, kami nang pupunta doon. But kung small animals, it depends on the owner if kaya nilang dalhin dito. Lalo na pag kailangan ng surgery. So, surveillance po kasi is part rin po sa amin yun. So, pupunta kami doon, kukuha kami ng mga samples, dapat isasubmit namin doon sa Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory to check if it is positive or negative with that certain kind of disease.
Ayon kay Doc Jessica, nung Odette, maraming mga baboy ang nalunod sa baha. Lalo na't maraming babuyan ang malapit sa ilog. Pagdating naman sa sakit, madalas magka-diarrhea ang mga alagang hayop.
Isa sa mga factors na makakontribute isang weather. So, makikita natin yan sa mga animals is stress para sa kanila. Once na mag-change yung weather, so yung hayop is susceptible sa mga sakit. So, it could be diarrhea, and kung may mga dadating na mga hayop or additional na ini-introduce ng owner, possible na mag-a-adjust na naman sila. So, possible na naman na magka-fever. Lalo na yung baboy is may sakit na bagong dating. So, kailangan kasi na isi-separate muna yon kung mag-i-introduce ka ng bagong animals.
Usually po, after a disaster, nag-i-introduce po ng bagong animals from the
City Agriculture. Actually, nung time na yun is hindi pa sila nag-i-introduce. So, wala, hindi kasi na-approve yung budget. So, hindi na ibigay agad yung para sa mga farmers for the dispersal. So, parang months pa ata na naibigay. But, yung ayuda rin sa kanila parang 10,000 or 5,000 ata after the Odette. Yung sa mga farmers Tapos yung mga namamatay na insured na mga hayop is, of course, nabigyan din sila, binayaran sila sa PCIC.
isang time lang po yung 10,000 after Odette, or that was regularly given?
Once lang. Ang nakagandaan kasi pag registered ka sa RSBSA, once na registered ka sa RSBSA, free po yung magpapa-insure ka sa hayop.
RSBSA stands for the Registry System for Basic Sectors in Agriculture. It's a program by the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation to support subsistence farmers and fisherfolk in their agricultural ventures. In December 2021, the program committed to indemnify insured farmers and fisherfolk within 20 days of loss notification. There were about 80,000 insured individuals impacted by Odette. And the following January, the Department of Agriculture allocated 3 billion pesos for Odette-affected farmers and fisherfolk. We'll dive deeper into the national government's efforts in animal welfare during disasters in our series. For now, let's return to Doc Jessica and explore their preparedness strategies, informed by lessons from Odette, but applied to any and all forms of calamities that regularly impact Filipinos. It's not just about storms.
Ano po yung binabantayan ninyo ngayon na natural hazards?
landslide, lalo na sa mountain barangays.
Meron na po ba kayong parang na-plan na SOP kapag may ganong nangyari?
Pag uulan talaga tapos identified na siya na the area is hazardous, totally evacuation po talaga, pati yung hayop niya. So, kailangan dadalhin niya kahit baboy pa yan, baka pa yan. Yun yung ano natin na dapat meron tayong evacuation for interim evacuation for the animals. But as of now is, nakikita pa namin is barangay for the meantime. But not in the gym. Kasi intended for humans.
Matigas po ba ang ulo ng mga taga Cebu City pagdating sa pag-evacuate?
Sa urban, before, yes. But lately, kasi nga ang dami nang nasusunog ng mga bahay, ayaw kasi ni Mayor na ina-evacuate yung mga tao sa gym. Gusto niya sa eskwelahan. Kasi nga accessible sa CR, tapos may privacy. With regards sa human, sa mountain barangays, yes, wala tayong problema. Actually, they are very cooperative with the LGU. But with regards to the animals, ayaw nilang iwan. Kasi nga, pag dadalhin nila, number one problem nila, saan nila ilalagay? Namumblema na nga sila sa family nila, problemahan pa nila. So, may iba sa kanila na maiiwan doon sa area, hindi nila maiiwan. What if meron kang 20 na baboy, sa evacuation area, saan mo yun dadalhin, di ba? So, yun yung nakita namin na problem. Isa yun sa recommendations na kailangan namin implement na to create a shelter, temporary shelter for those animals na if ever merong ganyan na calamity, meron na kaming identified na area na doon na ilalagay. Isa na rin yung i-consider namin na may budget kami. Wala nga kaming budget para sa mga aso namin dito.
In the next episode of Alagang Handa, we're heading to the sea. I'm Trisha Aquino, the writer and producer of this series. This episode was edited by Mark Casilian. Research by Paul Soriano. Script editing by Robbie Alampay. Jill Caro is our executive producer. You've been listening to Teka Teka News. Thank you again to Internews' Earth Journalism Network for making this series possible.